things first before we move on. UFOs. You've been the president. You've seen all the info. Are they real?
You know, they've given us an idea for our next book.
Well, what do you know? What can you tell us?
The truth is that we've never proved one, but there are things flying around up there that we haven't fully identified yet. And keep in mind, there are basically 1 billion galaxies in an ever-expanding universe. I mean, you can't even get your mind around the sheer number of things that are out there.
But you've seen this.
And
you've seen the data.
Well, no one knows, but I think that the probability is that there's something you would call life somewhere else.
All right, and this is
I just made myself a freak, right?
This is book number 3.
Right, so this is the jumping off point.
Book number 3.
Breaking news.
Yeah.
You're a Rhodes Scholar. You know what's up there. What is it? Tell us right now. What is, do we need to protect ourselves? Should we be buying duct tape or anything?
No.
We need to protect ourselves from ourselves.
No, yeah.
Just grab your earphone.
Shalom, Ka'ala Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakar Badash. Double honors to my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, who are the house of David, reborn again in this generation. And shalom to the 130 Al-Shabrala, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Indians, who before losing their true heritage were known as and still are the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about how these elites know that these UFOs are on their way, and they know who's in them. But before we get into that, let's read this. This is Revelations 12 and 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So, as you just seen, that devil, who was at one time the president of Babylon the Great, or what the Bible refers to as America, this man, this pedophile, basically revealed on the Kelly and Ryan show that there are things in the sky which they cannot identify. Now, he was talking about what they refer to as UFOs, and also or UAPs, right? The unidentified aerial phenomena, right? Now, they actually understand and know that these UFOs are in fact the chariots of the Lord, right? Bill Clinton himself should know this, right? You know, because as you can see here, he's talking to some of the Israeli Mossad agents directly, right? You know better as Jeffrey Epstein and Giselle Maxwell, right? They were part of the Mossad, secret intelligence group. Their job was, for the most part, to get powerful people into compromising positions by offering them sexual favors and horrible things that these people would do, that the Israel government would then be able to hold over them, right? Well, just like Bill Clinton has a relationship with these Israelis, right? He also has connections to the higher elites, right? And these higher elites understand that that for the most part that the Bible is real, right? And they understand that the angels in the Bible are actually the drivers of these UFOs, right? Now, this isn't the first president who has come out and has hinted and pussyfooted around the whole concept of what these UFOs are, right? One of the more direct examples of presidents coming out to tell the world that we have to unite to fight against the threat was Ronald Reagan. Let's go and watch this and see what he had to say.
In our obsession with antagonisms of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us? What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our peoples than war and the threat of war?
So, for the most part, you've always had presidents starting in the late 50s talk about some sort of alien threat, right, or mention it to the population, right? And this is because these people who are in power now, right, the people who control the presidents of the United States, they are the Edomites that the Bible prophesied would be in rulership of the world before the second coming of the Messiah, right? It talks about how these Edomites would have the whole world in subjection through their sword, right, which is basically a way of saying weaponry. Right? It talks about how they would also have the world morally upside down with their wickedness, and that ultimately, at the very end of their rulership, that they would seek to fight for their place in power, right? And that they would actually fight against the Lord. This is spoken about in Revelation 12:7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Right? And this talks about the coming end of the world's last fight, right? And with all the armies that will eventually stand up to fight against the Messiah's second coming, right? This is also talked about in 2 Ezra 13:5, which we're going to get in a bit, right? This is all, and then but this talks about how these devils will mount not only themselves, these Edomites, these so-called Caucasians would mount up a force to fight against them, but that they would rouse up and deceive the entire world to rise up with them against the Lord, right? This is why it tells you in 2 Ezra that all the armies of the world will try to fight against the Messiah, right? And ultimately, this is the will of the Lord, as the Lord prophesied that he would gather all the nations of the world, all the armies of the world, into the valley of Jehoshaphat, right? Which is basically right there in the Middle East. Well, they are being brought there for a particular reason, and that is to ultimately meet their maker, right? They will fall by the destruction which the Lord will bring upon them, right? And this is, let's go and read it now. This is 2 Ezra 13:8. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempest, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude, which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. And that's ultimately going to be the story of these soldiers who are going to be sent to the Middle East to fight against the Messiah, right? And they're doing it because of all the propaganda that has been pushed upon the world for these last few decades, where you had people just like Bill Clinton, just like Ronald Reagan, you had Obama, you had, I think, Bush Jr., right? All, and a bunch of other, political big heads and celebrities and just people of renown come out and talk about the so-called UFOs and how they would be a problem, right? In fact, I'm remembering Stephen Hawking, that cripple that was supposedly the world's smartest man. In fact, he said that if there was an alien force out there, that we should be afraid of them because they would come and destroy us as they had destroyed the Indians when they had came over here to the New World. Well, he was right about that. Right? He understood that that the outside force known as these UFOs, these so-called aliens, are going to come and bring destruction. Right? It tells you that in the Bible. Right? The Bible is very clear that when the Lord returns, He's going to destroy all the kingdoms of the world. And why is that? Well, because this last kingdom is for the most part ruled by the devils of the world, right? The children of Satan, which are these Edomites. Okay, this is why the world is in such a defiled and polluted state as it is today. Right? This is why right now we're going through a crazy event and pandemic to fast track the world into this new world order, because the rulers of this world understand that they have a short time to accomplish their goals. And what is that goal? Well, the goal is to defile all the inhabitants of the earth, to get them all microchipped and have their bodies, basically polluted, right, by taking these jabs and whatnot, to make them abominable to the Lord, right? So that way, by the time the Lord comes back, that they'll have He'll have nothing to save, right? That's what they're aiming for. But as the scriptures say, man, that isn't going to happen. The Lord is going to save the remnant of His people, right? That's the 144,000 elect of the nation of Israel, and also 1/3 of Israel. That being 1 out of every 3 Negroes, Latinos, and Native Indians, and anybody whose father's lineage goes back to that bloodline, plus the 144,000 elect who are going to be out here teaching and prophesying about the second coming of the Messiah, right? Those are going to be the people that these devils are not going to be able to, to dissuade, get jabbed up, to take the mark of the beast, or to bend to their will. That they're going to stand stiffly for the Lord's name and His ways, and for the truth of the Bible, right? The truth of the world. So I just wanted to bring that out, show you that they're just continually ramping up this propaganda and info about these so-called UFOs, right? So till the next time, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Ruach Kodash. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of the Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect. Shalom.